1530 KCJJ. It is now time for Rex Brandstatter Senior Talk. This is brought to you by the Solon American Legion and Senior Benefits. How are you doing today, Rex?
Well, thank you very much, Molly. I just blew in. I just told the staff down here. And boy, folks, that meant so much yesterday. Is not quite as bad today. And as Tommy pointed out succinctly, that it's colder today, windier yesterday. Which one do you want? Well, I'll take today versus that wind. Holy mackerel, what a deal. Changing of the seasons, and it's right before our very eyes. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Senior Talk. And I have to let you know it's a great day to be here, to be with you, and a great day to be a senior. Absolutely, for sure. Hello, and thank you to each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy day. And all to those listening who are seniors, and, of course, some senior gonna-bees someday. Senior gonna-bees. So a whole bunch of people listening in today. Thank you so much for taking time. So I'll do my very best to bring a lot of ideas that might be important to you, your family, about becoming a senior or being a senior. And it might be important maybe to someone, your friends, some of your family, your relatives, people you know. You might just pick something up here that could help you, could be important, and that's the real reason behind Senior Talk. And I have a senior line. You can call me if you have ideas or thoughts or questions on things you might hear here on Senior Talk. And my senior line for you is 319-330-5534. 330-5534. And if I don't answer, I will certainly call you back. That is for sure. We're going to have a little time today for some history as well. I got something up my sleeve for there. So a good time today to pull up a chair and grab a sandwich and a nice cold root beer, and let's see what we can cook up. My name is Rex Brandstatter. I'm a 76-year-old real estate broker, and I work mostly with seniors. I work with seniors, just good old seniors, anywhere from, my opinion, age 60 and up. To be a senior, and I work with their families, or sit down with seniors and their families in the seniors' home or my office or anywhere else, and talk housing type of thing like that. Maybe you want to sell your home. I don't know. That's your business. But it doesn't have to be that. It can be maybe you want to know the value of your property now, or what you could do, some changes you might be able to make in order to stay there, so you don't end up, quote, having to move somewhere else because your home doesn't fit your new lifestyle as a senior. I offer those experiences with you too. So those are things we could talk about. I get calls from banks. I get calls from attorneys, trust departments of banks, administrators, executives of estates, to help them with real estate. So that's what I do, and I'd be happy to help you if you need it. Or please give me a call at 330-5534. Let's see what I have for you this week. And I really think that this week, as every week, when we really delve into some things as I go, it makes me think of more things too. So I'm sure it makes you think of those things too. Well, fall is here. It's kind of inch by inch, day by day. Last Saturday for the game, it started at 6 o'clock. Earlier in the day, it was darn right hot, and I said, I think I'll put a pair of shorts on and go to the game. Well, I did not. I kept my jeans on, and I took a light jacket. I'm telling you, I'm glad I kept those jeans on. It got darn right nippy over at the Iowa game, but since they won, I guess you don't mind it as much. That's the way it goes. Well, days are getting shorter, as we know, and we're just about through October. No, we're not either. Middle of October, so we're inching along towards the winter, which we don't even want to say out loud, but we are. That's for sure. So the cooler weather is actually pretty welcome to some people. We had a pretty long hot summer, which is perfect in my book, but no more hot days and humid days. So you need to get yourself ready for some chilly mornings. And I think there's going to be a frost alert tomorrow. It's coming of fall, ladies and gentlemen, and here it is. So seniors have the ability to know how to dress for the cold. Yeah, I guess that comes from the training that our parents gave us. And my mom would dress us like we were in Alaska when we walked to school. Coats, gloves, scarves. By the way, Mom, boys never wore the scarf after we went around the corner, ever. No boy ever wore a scarf. No way. Yeah. And so I'm not sure what the young kids do these days. In these fall days, nippy days, and you go downtown to see the students. Or I don't know what you can wear to high school. I really don't know. But you go downtown and they wear flip flops just about year round in shorts. God only knows what their parents taught them. So anyhow, when we were kids, you and I were kids as seniors. Well, we didn't get to go outside the house unless we were well prepared. Be prepared, the Boy Scouts would say. And that's the way my folks dressed us, especially my mom. I remember her handing out gloves to some of my buddies would stop at the front door and pick me up, so to speak, when we walked to school. And she'd say, David, where's your gloves? Well, I don't have any. She'd get in a big box and give him a pair of gloves. That's just the way she did. She couldn't just leave well enough alone, let them freeze on their own. She had to hand out a pair of gloves. Ah, God love her. That's what she did. That's what her plan was. So, I assume that you are preparing yourself and your properties and probably your car for the upcoming colder weather. By the way, do you remember putting snow tires on? Sure you do. You have a rear wheel, when we all have a rear wheel drive car, some of you might still, where you'd call down to your local mechanic gas station and say, hey, how about putting the snow tires on? My gas station kept my snow tires in the back room down there in Coralville. Lantern Park DX. They kept Jerry and the guys. They kept my tires down there. They dig them out. And come in on next Tuesday, and they put them on, and away we went. Well, we don't do that anymore. I couldn't tell you last time I saw a set of snow tires. I assume they still sell them for cars. I don't know, but that was a big deal. And in the spring, go back down there. That's how I get my oil changed at the same time. You got or what you used to call service the car, grease it, an oil change, air filter, snow tires, on or off, blah blah blah. That's a sign of age, I guess, when we do that. Nobody does that anymore, as far as I know. Maybe a few of you do, but it kind of kept my car maintenance schedule a little better than it probably is now. So, well, I had a nice call from a senior lady who tells me that her husband passed away in August, just a couple months ago. And she said this, what should I be doing now? Well, I just kind of fumbled around like I'm doing right now. I didn't know how to answer that. What should I be doing now? I said, well, I'm thinking, crying in your arms or into your blanket, your pillow, or whatever it might be. I don't know. So I took it that she's asking me senior things, not so much the grieving situation. She can have to deal with that on her own, of course. But I said, well, you have a lot of things on your plate at this point. Is there a will? That'd be my first shot. Do your husband have a will? And she said, we are looking. Well, that gave me a big uh-oh in my mind, because if looking, more than likely it's her husband who passed away. She is going to be the first one on the list, okay? She's going to be the beneficiary. And if you have a will, if you're listening today and you have a will, Mr. and Mrs. Smith will say, or you're a single person by yourself, whoever you named the first beneficiary, the first person on your will, they should know about it, and they should know where they should have a copy of the will. They should know where your copy of the will is. It's in the file cabinet in number 2 bedroom, things like that. That's what they should know. So she says, we're looking for it. I went, oh no, he might not have a will, or if he does, he salted it away someplace that they may never find it. And they'll have to tear the joint apart, so to speak, to find the will. The common places to look would be around the house where they kept all their important papers, or in the lockbox or something like that. But you should wear it on your sleeve, ladies and gentlemen. You should wear the location on your sleeve. And if between you and your wife, you should both know what's in that will. Absolutely, for sure. And you do have to have an original copy to make it worth anything. So if you got 6 copies and you have a copy, they're going to ask you to come up with the original, because copies aren't worth a hoot when you go see your attorney. Not at all. So I said, well, keep in touch, and once you learn more, I said, you call me back. I'll give you a name of a couple of local attorneys. I don't just single them out, because I know, like lots of you, I know a lot of attorneys. So we'll she's a single senior lady now. I'll probably come up with an older attorney who's probably been through things like this for sure. So we'll see what happens. So that's what they're doing. Reiterated, I felt so bad that losing her husband, and now she said yes, that we're working on that issue too, because we all have to sit down as a family and start building our remembrances, and things like that. So I wished her the very best. And then we got into this discussion, and she actually has no clue, doesn't know any. Well, like I said, what should I be doing now? I said, I went on to say you shouldn't be moving, shouldn't be doing anything like that now. Maybe you and your husband talked about moving. Maybe you want to move. Don't do that right now. Just sit down and handle all these other details, because there are a lot of legal details to go. If there's no will, you certainly wouldn't want to move out of state. I'll tell you that right now, because you're going to have to spend a lot of time online, do this and that. Be much handier if you lived right here in town, which is where she's from. All right. Good luck to her. A senior man says, what is involved in changing insurance companies for the 3 duplexes that I own? All right. So here's this guy owns 3 duplexes, and he wants to consider changing insurance companies. And most likely, he got a quote for his insurance, and it was through the roof, or adjusted 26%, something like that. And I just told her, I said, well, the rates are kind of out of control right now, and that's actually what's going on. So I said, I don't cancel anything. If you still have time on your current premium, call around. Call 2 or 3 different companies. You do see ads on TV, and the ads on TV, they have local reps here in town, local guys and women who are insurance reps for those companies. Give them a call. Call anybody you want. You tell them this group you've got 3 duplexes and you want this kind of coverage or that kind of coverage, and here's what I think they're worth. And never insure the expense of the lot. So if you think your duplex is worth $250,000, then we'll say you can allocate $50,000 of that to the lot, because the fire or tornado, you're still going to have the lot. So don't waste your time insuring your lot. Okay. Get yourself at least a couple quotes. Don't run away from your current insurance, because it's hard to get on insurance at other companies. They may not want you. They may not want the location or the age of your duplexes or anything like that. They might say, well, no, those are 2 stories and we don't do 2 stories. I mean, they're picky. Official quote here: they're picky as hell these days in the insurance business. So don't blow your company up. Just get some ideas and talk to them before you make any changes. Remember that the quote has to be for insurance coverage that is okay with your mortgage requirements. So if you read your mortgage requirements, if you have a loan, they're going to say you have to have insurance for fire liability, things like that, and you have to have it insured for at least. It usually says for at least the amount of the mortgage. So, well, if you have a duplex you think's worth $250,000, you only owe $50,000. Don't be buying $50,000 worth of insurance. Sit down and come up with values of what you think that's worth. You can call me. I'll drive by it, look it up online, and give you some ideas on what you could do that. Then you talk to your insurance man and say, hey, a real estate guy said this is the range of value, and then you guys can go from there. Remember this on insurance, that if one or all of duplexes blows away, burns down, in order to rebuild them, you'll have to meet today's code. So your insurance should cover the extra cost to rebuild those duplexes and get them to the right fire code, the right electric code, plumbing code. Otherwise, you'll be left standing there with a huge bill in your hand. So look out, get busy. And you should be calling them right now, whether it burned down or not. You should be calling your insurance guy, your insurance lady, to talk coverage. Do that. All right, there you go. Hopefully, this chilly weather is alerting you to check and change your furnace filter. Hopefully, it is alerting you to take a walk around the outside of your house to look for things, because as these cold winds start to blow and things like that, you might have a window crack. You might have a piece of siding out. You don't want that. This piece of siding might have blown off the back of your house yesterday, for God's sake. That could totally happen. You need to do a walk around your house. I totally recommend that. You just never know what you're going to find. And I have found things over the years. What happened to that? When did that thing happen? Well, you only know if you walk around your house. If you cannot physically do that, I don't know, call me. I'll walk around your house for you, yeah, for sure, or call someone in your family or your neighbor or things like that. All right. You could start top to bottom, stand back from your house and look at shingles, see if you have shingles out, make sure all the gutters are there, all the gutters are working, all the downspouts are hooked on, all those type of things. You should be on the lookout for cracked windows. Look at your storm door is working. I looked at a house yesterday as a realtor. The storm door wouldn't latch, so that storm door is going to blow like mad. Yesterday, there was a flower pot on the front porch, so I slid the flower pot over, big flower pot, to hold that door shut. So all these things happen, and they'll always happen in the middle of winter when it's colder and crap. So now's a good time to be working on things. Okay, and if you're a renter, still, well, we rent half of a duplex, Rex. Well, good for you. Walk around your duplex and call your landlord on these same issues. Hey, Mr. Smith or Mrs. Jones, we have 4 or 5 shingles out. Did you know that? No, we weren't aware of that. Well, that's because they own property and they don't take the time to walk around their own investments, which is not good. So take it upon yourself to take care of yourself. That's what my dad used to say. Take it upon yourself to take care of yourself. I like that. A non-senior lady says this. My mom has a really cool. This is good. My mom has a really cool. You tell her a little younger kid, really cool, not real nice. A really cool set of full silver service. Now that would be, I don't know much about it, but silver service or tea service, that'd be maybe like a silver, like a silver plate, silver tray type thing, I guess, and be a coffee, I don't know, a teapot or a coffee pot, and cups, and maybe a knife and fork and spoon and a little plate type of thing, a full set. And she says she no longer uses it, and then she says this, here's the key to this, I don't want it. Can we sell it? Well, of course you can sell it. And then I said this, good luck. The buyer will pay the price for the price of silver. So they'll come to you, you think it's silver, it might be stainless steel, you don't know, you look on the back, it'll say stamped on the back, they sold it as silver, it might just be silver, stainless steel, you don't know. Back then they really didn't make too many, weren't trying to deceive anybody, it was silver color, so they called it silver. So someone will buy it, and you can go to these thrift stores. That's where they are, thrift stores. But wait a minute. This might have been grandma's or great-grandpa's from Germany. Well, I have to tell you this, big deal, because now nobody wants them. 99% of people don't want them. The ones that you go to a second-hand store, you get one of 5 or 6 sets, and they've probably had them forever. They probably got an inch of dust. But if you sell it to somebody who's going to buy it, melt it down for the silver. They'll pay you the spot price of silver, less a profit margin for them, and away you go. So just because you have it and it was great grandma's that came over here on the Mayflower, unless it's got a real story behind it, you're dealing with the price of silver. It was $32 or something the other day. They get a buyer's probably pay you $20 and something for it. Not a lot. You're not going to get much for it. So all right. The other thing is this. And I do have somebody who would look at it, anyhow, by the way. It's a known fact that your silver tea service, or gold or silver, it will have to be discounted to a buyer. Go to a rehab store and look at the sets they have, and you see what happens there. Well, that's just exactly what happens. The real key to this story is I don't want it. All right? That's the whole thing. We're going to talk about that very sentence here in a little bit. I don't want it. All right. Well, Rex, I get several calls every year. I have a couple calls within the last couple of weeks about buying a second home. Florida, Arizona, Arkansas, Alaska, truly, North Carolina, anywhere. Well, I said it's a nice deal if you know the total costs and the ramifications to your financial status. It could be a good deal for you if you know the total cost and ramifications to your financial status. They are expensive to buy. Price, pick a number out, $250,000. Expensive to maintain. Expensive to insure. Expensive to heat and cool. Can you pay cash? If you can pay cash for it, then you don't have to borrow the money. If you go borrow the money to buy that, guess what, folks? You just jumped on another stagecoach here, another wagon train of mortgage payments and taxes, insurance, and away you go. Principal, interest, tax, insurance, pity. Principal, interest, tax, insurance. You just signed up for a new payment. Can you afford it? Do you have a mortgage on your home now? And now you're going to have 2 mortgages. If you don't have one here, did you borrow the money locally as a HELOC, home equity loan line of credit, against buying a house in Arizona? Will your bank do that? They may or may not. What they will probably do is loan you the money, $100,000, and they'll just put it against your mortgage here in town. because they don't want to. The local bank doesn't want to chase you down or foreclose on anything in Arizona. They won't do that. So you're going to have to deal with your bank here unless you have cash. Now, if you go down to Florida and say, hey, I found a bank right down the street, or I met a banker down there, blah, 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 and they'll loan you the money, go for it. If you can afford it. If not, go rent. I would actually say go rent for a couple of years before, unless it's the deal of a lifetime, and only you would know that. You're going to have to take funds from your IRA or your 401k or any investments. This will cause lower income for you, lower all kinds of lower financial things if you take money out of your retirement accounts. I don't recommend that, but I'm not your financial advisor. Great time to meet with a financial advisor. Great question for financial advisor. Well, Rex, we don't have one. Well, if you look up in the, I'm going to say Yellow Pages, good luck with that. Just go online and look up financial planners, Iowa City area. Look up financial planners near me, financial planners, Iowa City. Ask some of your friends at church. Ask some of your friends you know, who do they use? Do they have an advisor? Do they have a financial advisor? This is really, really where you can get in trouble if you go buy something down there. If you buy into a condominium association, and the monthly fees are about to go up, they're just ready to raise them $100 a month. Now, that could enter into that. You've got to know all kinds of stuff before you buy a house number two. Now, I know people that bought a house in Florida, and then two years ago, they bought another house in Florida, and then the what do they call them, tornadoes down, hurricane down there, took one of them out. So now they've spent tons and tons of time and wringing their hands, working with the insurance company, and having to come up with deductibles and all kinds of stuff like that. Things you don't think about, things they hadn't thought of, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden now, God, they're not, plus the house is gone, and they had a contractor offer them $3,000 for it, for a pile of trash. They paid, I don't know, $250, we'll say $250 for it. Because they don't own the land down there. All the land is owned by a big corporation, and you can build a house on it, and then they come and try to buy the land back and build another house. That's business. That's the way it is. So, and if they read the small print, more than likely that company has the right of first refusal to buy it. So they don't know what to do. They're kind of staining themselves, I guess we'd say on the radio. So just be careful. Well, Rex, the weather's nice down there. We're close to a convenience store, close to a golf course. Good. That's great if you can afford it, and you've looked into this thing, and you can afford it and not endanger your hard-earned, long-time-earned retirement plan here at home. Then knock yourself out, go for it, and invite the Brandstatters down for a month in Arizona, which I wouldn't do because I won't leave town for that long. But have at it, folks. It is the American way to do things. So other things to think about, of course, you can't become a resident of Florida. If you want to keep a residency in Iowa, you have to live here 180 days plus one to be an official resident of Iowa, and or the same thing in Florida. If you have to choose your weapon on that one, and you should look into that because maybe Florida treats Social Security different. Iowa does not tax Social Security. Florida does not tax Social Security. I don't know what the sales taxes are down there. I don't know if they tax your IRA inside, what they call inside buildup on your IRAs. I don't know anything about that. You need to do that. Remember, now look out for yourself. That's exactly what you need to do on it. So lots going on just because you want to buy a house in Arizona or California. A senior man advises this: my wife is having health issues. Sorry to hear that. Lots of back problems. And I found with my friends with back problems, including my dad, was that when they have surgery, it's about a 50-50 they had surgery and it helped, or they had surgery and it didn't help. So I can't, I'm no doctor. I can't comment on that. I just speak from experience. It just seems that it's a real hard deal on a back issue for sure. So good luck to them. So we decided to undergo a year-long process to get rid of our stuff. He said it started just right at a year ago, he said. This year we gave up our extensive flower garden, took all of our gardening tools to a local secondhand store, donated some, gave some to our friends, donated a lot of clothing and kitchen items and furniture to local social entities for the next user. So they've really, really gone down the road because this lady has back problems. So they couldn't do the garden because she couldn't go out and bend over or maybe sit on the ground and crawl around and work on flowers and pruning and whatever you have to do. They have to get out of that business. Not only do they have to get out of that, they're contemplating moving from their house into a different situation where they don't have to think about yard work and stuff like that. So this is a pretty serious deal here. So I mean, they're giving up a lot of things there, and they're retired. So we were so much looking forward to living as we had planned right here, but now this unexpected ongoing health issue has changed a lot of things. Now, this ongoing health issue for them. So in other words, this lady has had back problems for a while, and now it's kind of getting worser, as they would say. And boy, wouldn't your old teacher kick you in the butt if you said worser? Isn't that the truth? So now her back issues are getting worse, and they've got to deal with it. So the other side of that is you could have the same plan they had, and all of a sudden something comes up. All of a sudden there's an issue. A stroke, a heart attack, fall on the ice and wreck your leg like my wife did, only she fell out in the shower type of thing and has issues with her legs, all mended over, but she's still cognizant of her leg, cognizant, is a little more methodical when she walks and looks ahead for curbs and, things like that. It changes things. And this lady's had ongoing, now this could happen to you or me this afternoon. Step off a curb and break your ankle, step off a curb, or whatever it might be. We have no guarantees. We all know that. We don't have any guarantees. So all of a sudden, they're going to make this big move. A monkey wrench has been thrown into their long-time plans. But the key word here is adapt. And what do the Marine Corps call that? Adapt and overcome. All right? Adapt and overcome. That's what they're doing. So I'm asking you, as a family, mom and dad will say, or maybe whoever the family is, sit down and think about Plan B. If something like this would take place, you've got to have a kind of a Plan B up your sleeve, whatever that is. We always have to have a Plan B. Speaking of Plan B, you need to have a plan. I was on the Corville Fire Department for 20 years, and we always had open houses for kids and drills. Went to the schools, and you remember going outside and had a fire drill. We always liked it because we got to go outside. Thank God there was never a fire at our schools, but we got to go outside and as boys push each other around, and stuff, the standard stuff. But as you get to be an adult, you realize the importance of having a way out. In your own home, you should have a way out, and you should have a Plan B on a way if Plan A is clogged up with fire. How are you going to get out Plan B? What's your Plan B? Well, we have that at our house, and we train it for it because I was on the fire department. I know the value in that. So here's something that we have at our house. This is the personal stuff here. We never had any kids, so therefore no grandkids, and we have one nephew. No, we have 2 or 3 nephews, I guess, 3 or 4 nephews. Now I think about it, and a couple of little nieces, but they're itty bitty people. So my wife has a brother, and I have a brother. So really, the family's pretty narrow, and they don't live around here. All right. So my wife and I sat down, and we came up with some things, and we came up with a lot of things from my side of the family, and several from hers, as a matter of fact. We said we have all these things. I'm going to call them historical things, things that have been in the family a long time. And so I told my brother what I have, and he brought me something this last week from World War II relics for my dad. He says, I don't want them. Well, that kind of hit me close to home because I understand. So I said, well, good. I want to put all this stuff in a big Tupperware, big bin type of thing, Tupperware bin, whatever it's called. And I said, they're going to give it to your son, Joe, my nephew, because he has the same last name, so he's like a legacy. He says, well, so my brother, he doesn't want this stuff. I said, yeah, something. I already asked him once if he wants this stuff. He said, no. The younger people, they don't want stuff. They don't want stuff that your parents, our parents, and or our grandparents had, even how cool it is. They don't want anything to do with it. So what are you going to do with it? I can't bring myself to throw it away. I can't all the things that I have that was given to me by them, by my grandparents, who came down from their parents type of thing. I don't have I'm going to say the guts. I just can't do it. So if my nephew doesn't want it, or it's in the will that he has that he gets it, I guess. If he doesn't want it, he can sell it. I won't know the difference. If I'm in Boot Hill, I won't know the difference, and I won't care. But if he tells me now he doesn't want this stuff, well, then it kind of opens up the reins for me to do whatever I want. But I can't throw it away. So I'm taking out some things of the family that I think might be important to the Johnson County Historical Society at their museum, and I'm going to approach them. We've already approached them, and they will take some of the things to perpetuate and remember the history of Johnson County, some of the things. And you could do that, too. And you could do that. My wife, she came up with a Tupperware bin, one of those thing, and we sent it up to her. She's from Odebolt, Iowa. She and Cooper DeJean are probably the most famous people to come out of Odebolt, Iowa, and I'm not sure about my wife. But that's where it is, up in northwest Iowa. And we sent some things up to their historical society up there because we thought that we called them. She called them first, and her deal, she called them. Yeah, we'd like to have that. So we boxed it up and spent a bunch of money and sent stuff up to them. That's what we're trying to do, too. So you could do that. I bet you $1 your kids don't want half the stuff you think is so cool. Bet you $1. You're going to find your kids don't want anything. No. Things that mean so much to you. They'll take a shotgun, probably. Well, some kids won't. I've got weapons. I don't think my brother's son wants them. He never mentioned firearms, stuff like that. I don't know what to do with them. So they're gonna. I might sell them. Not now. I'm not gonna do that now. That is for sure. So you could kind of see what's going on here. You can kind of see that the things you have, things have changed. You wanted Grandma's hutch, and you thought you and your sister or you and your brother were sure to get that outboard motor from Grandpa or the boat. Maybe the pieces of furniture, but guess what? Now you don't. Now you don't want them. So you've got your things. By golly, I get this in Grandma. Well, your kids don't want them. So what are you going to do? I guess you can just consider them another piece of furniture and get rid of them if you want. Give them one last chance to take it. No, we don't want it. Oh, where you go. This is rampant. This is going on all around in the senior world. Is that nobody really wants your stuff. Great cartoon. I've seen great cartoon. It shows a guy about, we'll say, a senior about our age, we'll say you're mid-70s. And he's standing there with his son who looks to be 40-ish type of thing. But and they're standing in front of a storage unit garage, and the door's up, and you can see, like I said maybe last week, there's a bicycle sticking out and a couple fishing poles and maybe the front end of a canoe and all kinds of stuff. And the dad says, someday this will all be yours. And the kid is rolling his eyes because he doesn't want all that stuff. Throw it away. Get rid of it. That's what these next generation is telling us. Throw it away or get rid of it on your own. Give us one last chance. If they don't want it, then it's Katie, bar the door. Go do whatever you want. That's my take. Well, I got thinking about some things historically the other day, and I'm thinking about I can do more of this program on this particular thing. This is kind of a quick shot across the bow on a couple street names. I was on a street name, and I got thinking about who was named for and blah, 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 things like that. And you can do a real deep dive on the street names of Iowa City, and it's pretty interesting stuff. But DeForest Street over by Mark Twain School on the southeast side of town, well, that was named after Jacob P. DeForest. Who? Jacob DeForest, and that's D-E and a capital F for forest, as in forest of trees. Jacob DeForest, he was the first mayor of Iowa City. First mayor of Iowa City. I'm not going to say he didn't know anything about back then, but he was the first mayor. You know, they hardly had any rules and regulations. And get this, Iowa City was founded by the United States government, and the site was donated by the government, and the city was without a local government for the first 14 years. So what was Iowa City, I think was founded officially in 1939, without a local government for 14 years. To be sure, the Iowa City community was under the protection of the nation and the police statute of the territory, later the state of Iowa. But there was no mayor to appeal to, no council to petition, no police to preserve order. I think they used the old 6-gun and a rope, probably, folks, back then. No municipal lighting, no municipal sewage system. However, The citizens must have been satisfied and pleased with the arrangement. So no government worked pretty good back. I guess that's what we're doing now. No government. As they resisted 5 attempts of the legislature to get them to incorporate. So the Iowa legislature said, look, you bozos over there in Iowa City need to get the formation and form yourself a town, a city. And it took them 5 attempts to have a vote to do it. No, we're doing just fine. You can hear them. No, we're doing just fine. Not a problem. We don't need no stinking government. You can hear them now, especially in this town. All right. Possibly the reason they prefer to remain unincorporated, get this, lay in the fact that their unincorporated state status, they paid no taxes. Do you think that had anything to do with it? Well, of course it did. Of course it did. There's a great story in Coralville about that very thing. I'll talk about it someday, about the area called Coralville Heights. And later find out that they were not in, that would be from the old school in Coralville on 5th Street. Right at the first street to the west is 5th Avenue. 5th through 5th, 6th, and 7th Avenues and 8th Avenue. They didn't incorporate. They were called Coralville Heights. A lot of area in Coralville with the legal description, Coralville Heights. But the first 3 areas are streets. The city would not annex them, and the people did not want to be annexed. It took 2 to tango. The city wouldn't take them. They were the biggest player because then they would have to supply fire protection, police protection, water for water system, things like that. And they didn't have any money, so they said, "The hell with them. We're not going to incorporate them into town." And the way you go, and the Coralville mayor at the time, Ed Kosher. He was outspoken and said, nope, no way are we going to annex them into town because they'll want all those things. 6 months after he died of a heart attack in 1935, they voted to let him in. So I heard it was a pretty big brouhaha going about why they weren't in there. So that's what it took. Anyhow, that's just the first part of the Coralville story. Only 3 streets in Iowa City have been named in honor of a mayor. In addition to DeForest, the one father-son combination, both of whom served as the Iowa City mayor, Mr. Morgan Reno and Charles M. Reno. Reno Street, up in the northeast, up in Goosetown, Reno Street. Morgan Reno, the father, who was prominent in early Iowa City and Iowa history, reached Iowa City in 1839, the site of the new capital and city of Iowa City were selected. See, I was right, 1839. He engaged in the banking business. In other words, he's a banker, and was appointed treasurer of the territory of Iowa. And later, after Iowa achieved statehood, was elected treasurer of the state. Woohoo for Mr. Morgan Reno. He was a financier and a banker, and they named the street after him. Well, in 1857, the year that the old capital, what we call the old capital, moved to Des Moines, basically we were given a choice: the University of Iowa or the capital. And thank God they took the university, so we don't have to drive to Des Moines and see a football game. Thank God they took and got the legislators and the politicians out of here. That's my opinion. In 1857, the year of the capital, John was elected. Is that right? That's right. He was elected the mayor. Charles Reno was his son. Was served as mayor in 1895 to 1896. After first having served as city treasurer and the county treasurer, both. He operated China Hall. No, it wasn't a Chinese deal. It was on Washington Street, selling china, glassware, and crockery for 9 years. Later, he sold What Cheer Coal. His home was located at 530 North Dubuque. Now, I like finding addresses like that, and I'm going to drive by 530 North Dubuque. We'll find out where Charles Reno lived, who was the mayor of Iowa City from 1895 to 1896. And he had a china shop downtown Iowa City. I wonder if he had a bull in there. Oh, never mind, folks. Never mind. Reno Street was named for them, running from Bloomington Street into Oakland Cemetery, for sure. The only other street, the third to be named for a mayor, is Teeter's Court, between Manville Heights and Black Springs and Black Springs Circle. The street, only 1.5 blocks long, was originally called Main Street. Can you imagine that street up in there? It was called Main Street. The neighbors, somewhat embarrassed by the incongruous name of Main Street for a street, 1.5 blocks long, banded together to change it. they decided to call it Teeter's Court. Wilbur Teeters was living on it. He was formerly the dean of the College of Pharmacy at the University of Iowa. William J. Teeters was elected mayor in 1943 through 46, in other words, during World War II, and was the first person with a university connection to be named mayor. Now, Lauren Hickerson also was the mayor later on. He was Iowa City's oldest mayor, and I don't like this. This is a slap at us seniors. His first term, he was 77, and he was still vigorous at 81. Well, what do you think? Well, we're not out to pasture yet, for God's sake. Now, here's a follow-up to that story, and this goes right to the youngest man ever elected mayor of Iowa City, John Balmer. John Balmer. Yeah, I think I know John Balmer. John's a good friend of mine and classmate in high school. John Balmer is the youngest mayor, and when elected, he lives here in Iowa City. Well, I'm going to go on record as saying they haven't named a street after him because he's a Yankees fan, and he's outspoken on things. So John probably is never going to have a street named after him. I don't know that because the developer could name one after him tomorrow. So I'm just saying, since he's my good buddy, John, you're never going to have a street named after you. The only other thing about Iowa City I might bring up is Iowa City. Not only has Iowa City been unusual in having 3 women as mayors, of course, but Emma Harvitt became the first woman mayor not only of Iowa City, but the first woman mayor of any city in the United States. And she lived up on the north end, right, not too far from Poly. And the Iowa City Hall, or the community room where the city council meets, is called Harvard Hall. So that's a little background there. I feel bad for my buddy John Balmer, who does not have nor will have a street named after him. But a little background there. So city council does not name streets unless they want to change one, which they have the power to do, I assume. They're named by the developers after review by the fire department, the county auditor, things like that, to avoid duplication. So that's the story. This is a great time. This is a great week because we've got those pesky rodents from Minnesota coming down here, known as the Gophers. We have to dispatch them with great haste. When they were there last time, they won the last game at night because we had a young man named Cooper DeJean from Odebolt, Iowa, who did not signal fair catch, but the Big Ten refs, crooked Big Ten refs, were going right on record there. They said it was a fair catch, and they called back his run back of a touchdown. So that's what we went up there last year and kicked them in the butt. So now they're coming back. We do not want them to win. Get on your cheering clothes and go over there Saturday night, sit in front of your TV, whatever you have to do. Let's send those Gophers a-packing. Let's send them back down in their Gopher Hole Saturday night. So that's the story. Take care of yourself. We're seniors. Hang in there. See you on the trail. Take care. Thanks for listening. My salute to all veterans, those who have served and those serving. We'll see you again. Thanks for listening. See you next time. So long.
Hi, it's AJ Perez from Deary Brothers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Iowa City.